Start. Okay. All right. Good evening, everyone. Good to see all of you on the call tonight. Really appreciate you sharing your time with us today and attending the event. My name is Lindsay Tallman. I am the program director at Construction Careers Foundation. And CCF is a nonprofit organization started in 2005. And the mission is to educate the emerging workforce about the lucrative and rewarding careers in the construction building trades. We've got programs that are geared towards middle school and high school students, one of them being this speaker series that we launched last month. So tonight you're going to be hearing about electrical careers. And if you missed last month's event, it was all about apprenticeship. And we have a recording actually, and I can follow up with an email and include a link to that video if you are interested in watching that and learning more about apprenticeship. So I'm going to hand it off to our speakers now to do a little self-introduction. First, I want to introduce Tim Garcia, who is the training director at Local 110, the Joint Apprenticeship Training Center. And our other guest speaker today is Luke Kuhl, who is the executive chairman at Twin Cities NECA. So if you two want to self-introduce yourselves, maybe just share how long you have been with your current position, what inspired you to pursue your career path, and what is your favorite part about your role? So like Tim, I can toss it to you.
All right. Well, thank you, Lindsay. Appreciate you inviting me to this. Hello, everybody. My name is Tim Garcia. Like Lindsay said, I'm the training director at the St. Paul Electrical Apprenticeship Program. I have been in the JATC for 9 years now, in roles as instructor, assistant director, the last 3 years as training director, and this is my 40th year as an electrician. So seen a few things here and there. I know a lot of you want to know what an apprenticeship is. You've done your homework and you've signed up to be in on this meeting tonight to hear more about it. You're aware that it's an earn while you learn approach to a career in the trades, meaning that when you are paired up with a journeyman or a master electrician, you're learning that part of the job from them. You're also learning from us in the school, learning safety, learning proper installation methods. The union part of that is that we have an agreement with the apprentice saying that we're agreeing that we're going to uphold what we say we're going to do. We're going to train you as an electrician, all aspects of learning the trade, safety, how to be safe and how to install safely. Your end of the bargain would be that you're going to learn everything that we teach you, both in the field and in school. So it is a signed contract that you're getting into, and it's a great way of learning a career. A lot of times people will ask at career fairs, how did you get started? Where did you first decide you wanted to do this? When I was in 9th grade, I had a friend that had an old car that had a lot of electrical problems, and to the point where he couldn't drive it. So I always had an aptitude for figuring things out, and I'd taken science classes and shop classes, and kind of took a shot at fixing this car for him. And just by following through the wiring diagram, I knew that, red wire was positive, the black wire was negative, and if you touched the two, you'd short the fuse out. Learn not to do that. So you follow along with a wiring diagram, much like a road map, and it figured out how to hook up the tail lights, how to hook up the heater, the radio, and before I knew it, I had the whole car figured out, and he could drive it. Then I started hooking up car stereos for people, friends and family, and I don't know if that's even a thing anymore, but Found out that I just had an ability to do this. And once I got out of high school, I joined the Marines. That gave me the opportunity to go to trade school when I got out on the GI Bill for electrical construction. After I completed school, I got into an apprenticeship program, and the contractor that I worked with did a lot of factory type work, so industrial motor controls, um, wiring, planning wiring for production lines, pulling wires, connecting lights and motors and switches and relays and that sort of thing. And much like what I was doing for the car, you had to figure everything out. And once it was all done, you go over and throw the main switch on, and the whole production line starts up like it's supposed to. That's kind of the good part of what we do, the good feeling that you get and that sense of accomplishment. I got the car working for my buddy, kind of made you feel good there. The work that you do and some of the projects that we get into, and being able to see something from start to finish, and then the final function of it where it's up and running, and you're seeing the fruits of your labor. From there, I worked for a contractor that put me in a service van. So that's the kind of job where if somebody calls and needs you to come to their house and fix something, or to their office or to their school and fix or replace something. I did that for a while, and that's kind of rewarding in itself, because you're working by yourself, you're learning a lot of things on your own, making all your own decisions, and teaches you kind of be self-sufficient. After that, they decided that they'd utilize the skills that I had in the military and in leadership, and made me a foreman. So foreman kind of oversees a lot of other workers, and you are assigned a part of the overall job. So my task is to take journeymen and apprentices and finish doing one certain part of the job, and then we move to another part of the job, and everybody works together to try and complete this job. That teamwork part that we do is also a big part of why we do what we do, and why we like what we're doing. From there, they made me a general foreman. So the general foreman oversees the whole project, start to finish. You're laying out the project, you're dealing with manpower, safety, tools, material, deliveries, estimating, the whole aspect of the job. And then once those jobs tend to have a lot more people on them. I think I had as many as 65 electricians under me at one time. But also, a great opportunity for expansion, learning. From there, then I started working at the JATC. So you see, from all that, you have commercial work, schools, offices, hospitals, things like that, industrial work, factories, refineries, residential type work, single family, multifamily homes, green energy work, solar, wind, all the green energy projects, lots of variety in what we do. There's also, like I said, there's a lot of room for advancement. One thing that I would like to say is, keep in mind that this is construction. Electrical work is a construction job. The working conditions can be a little bit different than a lot of other jobs. So for that reason, you may be working outside on a day like today when it's nice out. You could be outside working a week ago when it was below zero. Could be raining, snowing. We do a lot of work as electricians at the ceiling, so you have to be aware that you might be, working at heights, and if you're afraid of heights, it might be something to think about. We can teach you how to be okay with working at heights, but that's something too that you need to kind of get your head wrapped around. Application project, you want to talk about application or?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So, in order to get into the apprenticeship program, first go to our website at www.jatc110.org. There's an application process there. It's $45 to apply, and then you have to have things like you have to complete a file. So you've got a personal experience form that you have to fill out. You have to have provide your high school transcripts, proof of C or better in algebra, a letter of recommendation, a copy of your driver's license. Once you have all of that stuff together, then we'll schedule you for an aptitude test. The aptitude test is done quarterly, and it's on basic math, reading. There's a mechanical and a spatial recognition portion of it. And once that's completed, you're placed on an eligibility list. So it's a ranked list, and as soon as the contractors have a need, we start hiring from top down on that list. So if you can get anything that puts you above somebody else that doesn't have work experience or trade school or a good letter of recommendation, something like that, that's what's going to help you elevate yourself to the top of the list. Once you're accepted into the apprenticeship, then I'm going to assign you to a contractor, and you're going to go to work for that contractor doing whatever they do, just like you would on any other job. Just report to work at in the morning, and then you go home in the afternoon. It's paid 1 day a week from September to April. You attend school at the JATC. The reason this is so popular and there's so much interest right now is that once you're accepted, it's free. There's no tuition. There's no student loan you have to repay at the end. We are 100% funded by our members. We take no state or federal money, which is something that we're really proud of. But like I said, there is a lot of interest in the trades right now, and for that reason, it's very competitive, as you'll find out. But yeah, I would highly recommend if you're interested in this, do some research and talk to some people. Make sure that you get all your documents ready and make your application.
Okay, thanks, Tim. Let's go to this question that's in the chat right away before Luke, you speak. So the question is from Noel. Are there any certifications that would make an applicant stand out?
I would say trade school, I guess. If you're going to trade school, that diploma would definitely help you. The local trade schools are St. Paul College, Dakota County Technical College, Anoka, Dunwoody. There's a number of them that we would accept. Certification in Skills USA, which is a competition at those schools, also elevates you. A good letter of recommendation from a contractor would probably give you the highest point value. Union member, a non-union contractor, they are also ranked. So you want to make sure that you get preferably a higher scoring letter of recommendation.
Okay, and then there is another question in the chat, but I think we'll go to Luke first before we start answering some more questions. So, Luke, I'll share my screen. And then if you want to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more about your experience, your current role.
Yeah. Well, thanks. Thank you. Thanks, Lindsay. Thanks everyone that's on this. Excited to be here. My name's Luke Kuhl. I'm the executive chairman of Twin Cities NECA. And NECA stands for the National Electrical Contractors Association. So we're a trade organization that represents all of the electrical contractors that operate basically in the southern half of Minnesota. So if you're a union electrical contractor, Twin Cities NECA represents you in some form or fashion. A little bit about my background. I am not an electrician. I electrocuted myself changing a light bulb once. I'm an attorney. And so that's where I had a very different kind of approach to coming into the industry. I went to college and then to law school, practiced law for a few years, worked at the legislature, and I worked for the governor of the state of Minnesota for about a decade before making the jump off. And one of the things that I really loved when I was working in politics was being able to tackle hard problems and to like look at big things and see how big things get built. And so it was a really exciting opportunity for me. My father-in-law was an electrical contractor. He had recommended that when I was looking for a career change, take a look at this NECA thing. And so I've spent about 10 years now with NECA and have learned a lot about the industry. And I'm so excited to be able to go out and share about it. So Liz, if you want to go to the next slide, I want to zoom out a little bit. Why do people want to become electricians? Why should you want to become an electrician? You've probably seen the headlines of the electrification of everything, whether it's a car or whether it's appliances. People are moving away from gas stoves to electric. The electrification of everything is changing the way we as Americans and around the world live our lives. And it's part of a larger movement that has benefits that are environmental and just really exciting. We haven't seen this type of change in technology and move to new processes like the electrification of everything, since the Industrial Revolution. So we're learning new things. NECA and the IBW is the union. NECA represents contractors, where the two parties get together and we're the ones that resolve issues. We're the ones who negotiate contracts that basically say how electricians work out in the field. We've been working together as two organizations for over 125 years. In Minnesota, we've worked together since the mid-50s or the early 50s. And so our relationship, unlike a lot of things that you might see in the news about new unions, new things, this isn't a new union. This isn't a new process. This isn't a new relationship. We've been doing this for a long time, and we are ready and prepared to try and move on into this next generation of the electrification of everything. Go to the next slide. So what does that mean? What does the electrification of everything mean for people that are interested in going into the electrical field? Well, I mean, it means big challenges. Cars were on gasoline. Now we have to be able to provide power to be able to charge them. They're big opportunities. And they're just huge projects that employ a ton of people. And so these are a couple of examples. I like to think about the Sherco solar site up in Becker, Minnesota. It's, I think, the 5th largest solar site in the US. I mean, it's massive. This is a utility scale solar site. It was done partially by electricians from Xcel Energy and partially done by electricians employed by contractors, the type of folks that I represent. That is a multi-year project that is going to put a ton of power online. And so these are exciting projects. The Meta data center The Facebook data center in Rosemount broke ground last year. $800 million project. You're talking 3 years of work. And the number of electricians that are going to be needed on that type of work is staggering. So on that type of project, you're looking at 300 electricians for a couple of years. In the local on the St. Paul side, there's 1,500 electricians total. So you can see that that is a massive portion of what we have. What's exciting about this is that large projects, we have union electrical contractors that do everything from residential to large projects, but large projects is where union electricians are absolutely in the spotlight, because we have the best trained. We're working on the biggest projects, the most complex projects that are going to change the world, that are going to change the state, that are going to change the way that we live, to meet the desires of lawmakers, meets the desires of technology companies that want to bring more AI online, or, you know, whatever it is that they want to be able to build out in these data centers. These are huge opportunities, and it's union contractors doing that work in Minnesota. So I think it's a very exciting time to get into the electrical industry, because there really isn't an end to these large scale projects because of the electrification of everything, because of the growth of AI, data centers, large scale solar. You know, we'll see if it takes hold in Minnesota. You have modular nuclear stuff that's starting to take hold in some parts of the country. These are exciting times, really exciting projects that make a difference. So I hope that you are all excited about this, and if you know somebody that wants to get into it, these are the types of things that really get people excited in our industry, and it's really exciting when we have local contractors doing this work. You want to move on to the next one? So Tim mentioned, you know, how to get into the apprenticeship. You know, I call it get into the free apprenticeship. Full disclosure, it is not free to provide 5 years of schooling to people. It costs money. It is free to the people that go, but it costs a lot of money to put on a high quality education. And so we'll go into what, you know, kind of what goes into being a journey worker and what the wages and benefits are, but that's an important thing. You know, we talked a little bit about it, but if you want to get a step ahead, go to trade school. Become a pre-apprentice, get work experience in the electrical industry, whichever way you can. Those 3 things are probably the best ways to start ticking up points on what we're looking at. And what happens when you graduate? You graduate, you're going to get a Minnesota electrical license. That's a big deal. The passage rate, Tim, I think is about 30% on that test, 30 to 40%, depending on which round you take it in. It's a tough test. It's a tough test, and we get 99% of our apprentices over the finish line with that test. That is an important certification that you can take when you walk away. You're walking out of the apprenticeship after 4 or 5 years, depending on what system you get into. And you're going to be represented by a strong union that has a long history. You're going to get union wages and benefits. I put some of the wages and benefits up there, but vacation and holiday. Talking once you become an electrician, you know, a journey worker electrician, you're talking 5 weeks vacation. A pension, a local pension, a supplemental pension, a national pension. That's 3 pensions. An apprentice. So once you get out, you contribute back to the apprenticeship program. That's how the apprenticeship program is free. Our contractors and then the people that are working out in the field are contributing back. You get what they would call Cadillac medical coverage. You get retirement medical. What is that? That means that if you decide to retire early, you have a plan that'll help you pay for that to keep that Cadillac health insurance until you turn old enough to go on Medicare. That's a huge benefit. There's labor management funds, which everybody contributes to, and then we can go promote the whole industry. It's a total package of $90.49 an hour currently in 110. That's nothing to sneeze at. The wages are good. We have the best educated workforce out there doing the craziest, most gnarly projects that are out there. We got contractors that, put their businesses on the line to come out the other side and say, we built the biggest XYZ. We built the biggest data center in the state of Minnesota. So that's kind of the union advantage. You want to go to the next slide, Lindsay, please? A lot of things that you hear out in the media right now is inflation, inflation, inflation. Things are more expensive. The IBW locals in Minnesota, they have negotiated raises that far exceed inflation. You might have a year where the union increase doesn't beat inflation, but over time it beats it consistently. Inflation isn't really a thing. I mean, obviously everybody experiences it, but because of the relationship with the union and with the contractors and how we negotiate, it's a very well-paid position that the increases over time exceed inflation by a good bit. There's a lot of people that say, well, you're going to be an electrician just because you don't want to go to school. You don't, it's a fallback. It's not. It's not. It's a good career. I 110 journey worker. I put the wages up there. I went on the Ramsey County website. So these are Ramsey County numbers for these other jobs. I'm an attorney. When I came out of law school, definitely electricians were making more money than me. And they made more money than me for a long time after I graduated from law school. It took a long time to catch up. Looking at all these other professions that require a lot of education that costs a lot of money, this is free school, and you walk out the other side with it. I mean, the union does it better. It's hard to argue with the numbers. These just came off the Ramsey County website today. This is a good life. It's a good profession. It's hard to get into. It's competitive. It's a hard thing to get the journey worker exam, but we have the best process, the best teachers, the best education to get you there. And Tim's one of them. If you will work on the 292 side, Trevor, if you're working, getting into the NECA IBW world, it is a group of people dedicated to bringing people into the industry and making sure that people are having a successful livelihood. Last one, I think, if you could. So this is my contact information. I'm sure we'll ask questions. I have my family there, and there's the reason I have the picture of my family. Renee, my wife, is a very successful executive at a technology firm. Her dad was an electrician. He went to trade school, became an electrician. Eventually, he worked his way out of the field and became a project manager. So he was no longer working in the field, but now he was working in the office. He worked his way up through the system, started running bigger jobs, started becoming more important within the company. Eventually, he held, I think, 25 different licenses for different states. He was one of the owners of one of the largest electrical contractors in the state of Minnesota. When Renee grew up, my wife, she got the benefit of union benefits. She got the benefit of having a family that had a stable and great income, had the benefit of a dad who wanted to work his way up through the system, even though he didn't go to any fancy colleges or whatever you want to think about, whatever that is. He made his way up, and those are the types of opportunities that are out there. And now, people ask us all of the time, because we're both attorneys, my wife and I are both attorneys, and they say, well, that's nice. I bet you're not gonna send your kids into the trades. And I tell you what, my kids are gonna do whatever they wanna do. I'm not gonna tell them one way or the other. But if they went into the trades, I'd be as proud as heck for them. There are tons of opportunities. Don't let anyone tell you that, oh gosh, you're not smart enough, you're just gonna go in the trades. That's not true. It's not true. There are tons of opportunities out there for people that, maybe you just like working with your hands. Maybe you don't consider yourself quote unquote book smart. These are opportunities and a whole lifetime that awaits you in the future if you apply yourself. If my kids wanted to go into the trades, I make sure they went into the union trades, but I certainly would encourage them to do it. So that's kind of my story. My contact information is there. I'm happy to chat. And I'll be quiet now.
All right. Thank you, Luke. That was awesome. You too. Thanks a lot. We have some really good questions in the chat, so I'm going to go there now. And if either one of you, want to answer the question, great, or piggyback off of each other, however you want to do that. The first question is, would you say a pre-apprenticeship is a possible way to stand out? So talk a little bit more too about your pre-apprenticeship programs.
Absolutely. Maybe I'll let Luke start off on this one.
Yeah. So a pre-apprenticeship program is something that is something that you can go out and solicit work from contractors. So you can call up, whatever union contractor and say, are you hiring pre-apprentices? Certainly can give you some ideas of which ones are hiring or whatnot if people want to reach out directly. And then to become a pre-apprentice, you have to become an applicant to the JATC. There's some other paperwork that you have to do. But once you do that, you can go out and work in the field and help out on job sites. And so this is kind of the most basic entry-level position that we have. It's also the only position that, if you progress your way through the JATC, through the apprenticeship program, the only time that you're ever going to have to solicit your own work or find your own job, because after that, the JATC, the apprenticeship program, and the union will help you do that. But our program, our pre-apprenticeship program, says that if you work for 2,000 hours, which is approximately a year worth of work, you can automatically get into the JATC so long as you meet basic minimum qualifications. You need to be of age. You need to have a GED or a diploma, and after 2,000 hours, you can get directly in. And even if you don't finish the 2,000 hours, if you apply, let's just say you work for a half a year and you apply for the JATC, that half a year is going to get you extra points towards getting in.
Yeah, it also lets you try the job out and see if it's something you really want to do. That maybe is more important too, that a lot of times people get into these careers and then decide that maybe this is a little bit more than what I expected, but it is a great avenue, a great way to start out. You get that work experience that's valued on your personal experience form on your application. You also have the opportunity to get a good letter of recommendation from a contractor if you're doing a good job. So I would highly recommend that route as well.
Okay, the next few questions are related to college. So will doing a 2-year trade school in electric put you straight on the front seat to apprenticeship with the union?
It will. Yeah.
Yep.
We put the highest point value on our application towards those graduates from those programs, for the simple fact that they've invested the most time and effort into their career and their futures, and we're going to reward them for that. That being said, you're competing against all the other schools, all the other colleges with an electrical program. So just like I said before, anything that you can do that's going to set you apart from somebody that doesn't have, let's say, work experience or military or Skills USA, all of those things are going to put you above somebody that doesn't have that. That ensures that you're going to be at the very top of that list. Our hiring in most years is based on the economy, right? It's demand and work in our area. So like right now with the expected high employment that we're going to most likely be seeing, we're going to be dipping pretty deep into that list. So still, you want to be at the top as high as you can, and those kind of things are going to help you.
As a follow-up to that, there are a couple questions about some of those programs having really long wait lists. Can you talk about if individuals aren't able to get into programs like St. Paul College and things like that? Are there other ways that they could get that experience, get that education, stand out? Or like for high school students, are there particular programs or classes that they could be taking if they're not able to get off of a wait list for one of those programs?
Yeah, it's a challenge because as a trustee on our apprenticeship program, we don't have a say over what these colleges are doing. We certainly have encouraged St. Paul College to expand its program. We have the need for people with that experience and that education to get into the trades, but we have only so much sway. I would encourage people to continue to reach out and make sure that you're talking to people, check out the programs. St. Paul College, I think, has a wait list. I don't know where things are at Dunwoody currently, but check out other programs. If there aren't opportunities there, I think that pre-apprenticeship is the next best thing. And you can work as a pre-apprentice, and then if one of those positions open up, you can go get that trade school experience as well. And then I mean, if you have work experience as a pre-apprentice for a union contractor who's willing to give you a letter of recommendation in trade school, you're going to get in. I can't guarantee it, but I mean, there's just, you're going to get in.
There's another question here, one that we often get from teachers too. So I'm not sure if Noelle, it looks like Noelle might be a teacher. Are there companies, hi Noelle, are there any companies who have been known to provide students job shadow opportunities, paid or unpaid work experiences, or worked with the Youth Skills Training Grant to help set students up for success as they prepare for a program?
So,
go ahead.
No, go ahead, Tim.
There's always room for growth, and that's what we're always looking to expand our relations and create new pathways. There's community-based organizations as well that offer programs. Mortensen Construction is one that has a pre-apprentice program through, it's at the Meta site in Rosemont. I'm not sure, maybe Lukey might have more information on it, but I'm not sure how many they're accepting.
Yeah, I have that information too.
Okay.
My
So
husband's working on
like
there too.
You've got one out there?
My husband's a sprinkler fitter out there, but yeah, he's been working on the Meta.
Okay. Yeah, so there's we're always, like I said, we're always looking for partnerships, different ways that we can recruit. If the colleges can't help us, we need to have another path. like you say, they're not looking to expand into additional classes, then we have to come up with other means. And like I said, we're always looking.
Yeah, I mean, it's a challenge to get, especially if you're talking about high school kids onto a construction site. You can't be on a construction site until you're 18 years old. There's just no way to get around that state law. And well, state law is a good law for a reason, but it does have some limiting factors. We do have contractors that particularly will let people job shadow, especially if they're interested in office jobs related to contracting. But those are kind of hit and miss, and they do tend to go toward kids in trade school, or I shouldn't say students in trade school, but there are some select opportunities out there like that. It is just really a challenge to engage. Lindsay, you're probably better off to talk about the programs that we're running with different high schools and junior highs, but in the Trades Academy at CCF, Building Strong Communities is a great program. There's Goodwill Easter Seals program. There are things out there. It's just it's kind of tough to navigate and look around.
Yeah, and at the end of this session, in just a few minutes here, I'll share a few application deadlines that are coming up too for some programs that Luke just mentioned. But before I do that, I just want to make sure we get to any final questions. So I know, Noelle, you put another few questions in the chat. Did you get all of your questions answered? And if not, you can just feel free to come off mute and ask.
Yeah, I think my other question was just around, I know there's a demand, but as far as like in the past 3 years, like on average, how many apprentices do you typically call up, when they are already accepted and they're on that waiting moment? Can you talk
Sure,
about
yeah.
a little bit
Good
about
question.
numbers so people know what I'm just like, if I'm number 40, where am I at, right?
Yeah, if you're number
I know
40,
that's so different trade to trade, so.
if you're number 40 this year, I think you've got a really good shot at it. But like I said, it's based on the economy, the work projections that are out there for the upcoming year. Coming out of COVID, we hired no one. The next year we hired 8. And slowly we've been building. Last year we hired about 115. This year projections, depending on who you're listening to, looking at, it's going to be at a minimum that it's going to be probably a lot more than that. So the demand is there this year. Currently there's about 200 on our list. We're going to have one more aptitude test coming up on the 21st of March. That'll add probably another 100 to that list. So a lot of those are trade school. Some of them that have gone through pre-apprentice work and then have done really well on the aptitude test and have gotten a good letter of recommendation are going to score right up in that top level too. Now I wouldn't say 40 is unreachable, especially this year. I think it's a really good reach.
Okay.
The challenge. Oh, so I'm sorry. The challenge and benefit of the system is that we bring in the people that we can employ, and so if you get in, that means we're relatively confident we're going to get you out on a job pretty darn quick. And I think that's a huge benefit, but it's also very challenging for the people that are on that list and they don't know how far down. One thing that I did want to plug is Michael just put in the thing, the information about the JATCs, the Minneapolis JATC, the South Central JATC down in Rochester. Limited Energy is also a great opportunity. That has a very different entry process that can be also a direct hire by the contractor, and you can get into the program directly that way. It's a much more streamlined process. It is a different type of electrical work than what you would consider we call in the industry inside, journey workers. Limited energy is much more techy. It's not quite as in demand, but it is a methodology to get into the union that way. Full disclosure, we don't generally have people jumping from the limited energy program over into the traditional JAT, you can call it all sorts of things, the traditional JATC, but it is an excellent career path that is just going to require more and more people as the technology gets more and more sophisticated. So limited energy JATC, I definitely, if you're having challenges getting into trade school, different challenges getting into the JATC, check out the statewide limited energy JATC. That's going to be a resource for you.
Mhm. And if you do stay with it, you're going to get in. That's typically what we see is if you're driven, you're doing everything that you need to, you'll make it. It just might take some time, but it's worth it, whatever you got to do.
Okay, and I think, oh, just a few things here popped up. I think we should maybe wrap up. Sorry, I'm looking over a question here.
The last question there is that if you go to trade school prior to the apprenticeship, does that trade shorten? Yes, it does. It makes it go from a 5-year program to a 4-year program. So your apprenticeship is no longer 5 years, it's only 4 years long. If you graduate from an electrical a school with electrical trade degree. Am I saying that right, Tim?
Yes, yeah. And we also start you second year schooling, second year pay. It is a definite benefit.
Yes.
Okay, these are awesome questions. I think we're gonna stop here. And if anybody has any other questions, I can follow up with an email, Tim and Luke, if it's okay. I'll share your contact information. People can reach out then with questions. I do see someone in here is a Building Strong Communities participant right now, so that's very awesome.
Good for you.
Yeah. I just want to share really quick, like I mentioned, some just a few resources. There's a ton of resources that are out there, lots of different programs that were mentioned today. These are just some events, application deadlines, resources that I want to share for today. So for people on the call, if you don't know what Construct Tomorrow is, it's a hands-on career fair where all of the training centers and the unions come together. And it's for high school students. It's a really great opportunity to get students in front of industry representatives. There's 2 events coming up in Duluth. So if you're in the Duluth area, make sure to check those out. The next event series, Blueprints to the Trades, is going to be March 26th. And we're going to be highlighting bricklayers and allied craft workers and the Finishing Trades Institute of the Upper Midwest. So there's going to be a lot of different trades careers highlighted there. Again, I'll follow up with all of this in an email to everybody. So please pass it along to anyone else that might be interested in attending as well. A few high school programs are our very own Minnesota Trades Academy paid summer internship. We are accepting applications for 2 of our sites. So we have 4 sites total, but we're accepting applications for St. Paul residents. That application is due this Friday. And then we have applications open for Brooklyn Center, Brooklyn Park, and surrounding suburb residents. And then the other one is Lake Street Works, which is a school year learning opportunity. And that's based out of Minneapolis, and students get a stipend. They get to learn a lot of really great skills, and I think like 4 or 5 different trades. Another really great program there, which is accepting applications right now. And then some resources. So Construction Careers Foundation website goes into detail about what each specific trade is. The starting wages, the benefits, takes you to the local websites to kind of learn more. How a high school student can prepare for a career in construction. So I would encourage students and teachers encouraging their students to look at our website for more information. The Minnesota Department of Labor and Industry website is really great too. It's a central hub where if you are looking for application deadlines on a specific trade or specific contacts at that training center, that's a really great website to look at. And then I mentioned in the beginning of the event here too, that the first blueprint to the trades event that we had was all about apprenticeship, and we do record these. So that's available if you want to view that as well. Other than that, just gotta stop sharing. So yeah, I think that's all we got for tonight. Really appreciate Luke and Tim again for being our speakers tonight. Thank you for your time. And everybody, thanks for all your great questions. Thanks for attending. Again, we'll be sending a follow-up email. And if you have any other questions, please reach out to Tim and Luke. Just everybody, thank you so much again. Really appreciate it. And see you next time.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.